You telling me last episode we just wasted 30 minutes completing one quest, and I haven't actually done the thing where I steal cards and stuff. I want to show you guys some cool concepts while I do them. Alright? It's gonna be pretty interesting. I want to add special type of monsters that have ridiculous amount of health. I sort of think of them as Leviathans, but like, I don't know if that's appropriate. We have like Dr. Boom, 7 health, right? Well, we also have like shit like this. This is kind of crazy. This has like, what? 18? Jesus Christ. Like 23 health. We've never seen anything like this, by the way. The most health we have seen is like 12, 15. Until COLLOSALS showed up. It's kind of like a similar idea, but kind of different. So, what will be the big minion that we copy and paste? Should be one of those, like, early ones. I mean... Tank Max? Really? Is that all we have? Actually, Faux Reaper is perfect. This is actually the perfect monster for this. I can't believe it. It kind of looks like shit, though. Should have alternative art after all. It's Battlegrounds minion already. It's like a tiny garbage art. I'll use the same one. I don't care. We're gonna change it eventually, right? Depending on our tools. Again, my main premise of improving the card game is to come up with crazy-ass ideas for what we're gonna have in the future. I'm here to reveal every single possibility. Which is kind of like, you know, it's a very weird approach, I would say. Because, like, we don't know what's gonna happen in the future of Hearthstone. They think, like, 3 expansions ahead of themselves. And there's plenty of things to, like, invent. But here, I'm trying to build a language of card games, and I'm like, if I can invent anything quickly, I'll do it. Because the real invention is, like, putting things together, combining things. That's the way we're gonna be discovering stuff, instead of, like, discovering new keywords. I just want to know all the keywords, all the possible things. And there's two new ones. So, Cleave. And, this could be Giant. Again, I want to call it Leviathan, because Leviathan is like multi-piece thing, basically. Made out of multiple pieces, like... I'm not sure what the actual appropriate name is. Let's see what AI thinks. Behemoth. Monolith. Juggernaut is cool. I like Goliath as well. Technically, I mean, multiple pieces. We have to reinvent colossal minions, basically. Monolith. I like things that I'm familiar with. I could call it colossal keyword. Now, how does that work? How does that change anything? It's going to be pretty interesting. I'm not changing health. Why? But it's just 3 health, though. Yeah. 3 shields of health. So that would multiply into 9. It's pretty nasty. Three blocks of health. Now, I'm still contemplating, should I actually name it as 9? When it's like, it's either going to be 3, 6, or 9, or above. It's going to be always divisible by 3 anyways. So I would still choose like 3, because you have to instantly like summon or use 3 coins. Like in real world you would use coins. And then you would burn that shit. Remove it until all of them is gone. And this thing successfully gets killed. So it's literally 9 health. I will think for a little bit if I want to show the full health or not. The biggest gripe I have with showing full health is that I'm going to be using another keyword as well. Or trigger, right? Having a certain amount of health trigger. It would be nice if I didn't mix that shit up. And it would be obvious. And it is, after all, a modifier. You look at health completely differently based on modifier. I'm not sure why the fuck I'm lagging right now. Technically, I'm copying and pasting this thing. And adding some dots in there. So if you have certain amount of tokens left, yeah, basically health is tokenized, which means that the card is actually weaker than 9 health because it takes permanent damage. That's the whole point about this whole thing of like, why can't you just use normal health? I can't, because I don't track normal health. It always regenerates. Any amount of damage would regenerate, but these giants would actually take damage and won't be able to regenerate, and sometimes even lose abilities if they take too much damage. Really fascinating stuff. Like, visualizing this stuff is pretty cool. Like, you can imagine Train with, or a tank that loses a piece of that allows it to move, or allows it to shoot fucking rockets or whatever. Like, it can lose things until it just becomes useless. I could probably just give it 4 health, obviously. Or cost less mana. I probably want to add 4 health. It's way spicier in that way. But the problem is, this is 9 health, technically. But this works like shield system, where you have, instead of 5 health for a shield, this is 3 health for 1 token. 1 piece of this pie. But if you underkill, if you just deal 5 damage, it's only gonna remove 1. So you have to hit precisely 9 or 6 or 3 to be able to hit without losses, which is very difficult. So I'm kind of very pleased with this design, I would say. Yeah, the obvious and annoying thing, I probably should just do it normally. I should probably just mix it up. But it's so weird. Because, like, it has to, like, make you stop and think of, like, why the fuck is this 3 health? Right? That's the crazy design. Will the player actually stop when the health is so low? I shouldn't be doing this, but you get the idea. And, Cleave. Also, Cleave is completely different. Because it has to be nerfed. Yes, Cleave has to be nerfed. I have to show it. We have to imagine this has Cleave, right? So he just kills it, everything for free, right? Kind of. What if this can strike back? You know, how would that work? See, with the Cleave, you choose a minion, and it just cleaves through 3 minions. Like normal, right? But you choose which minion, which direction to cleave, and one after the other, the minions fall. But if they can retaliate, you have to fight them. Like normal. And if you run out of damage, if this has more health, right? Because you're attacking into one by one. You're just kind of cleaving through. If you run out of damage, it's over. Which is why, like, you can sort of combine cleave with double attack, with Wind Fury, all that stuff. It's not going to be overpowering at all. It's kind of fancy, right? It would break through these, but like this would stay alive. But you wouldn't take any damage because these don't retaliate. It's like really funny way to do it. Or fancy. I like fancy. Or the best word to describe a realistic, I would say. I'm looking for that as well. Because like cleave, just like getting free damage was always like a fucking cringe to me. The cringe moment. Especially when Blizzard invented Hollow Hounds, the most annoying creature of all time. Just cleaves for free. Cleaves are so free, especially if it's rush minions, right? They're so free. Free damage. Free board clear. It's crazy. You can even buff your card and let it survive and it's just gonna terrorize the board. Like, that is stupid. Absolutely stupid. Hollow Hound having like 9 attack pretty much and not taking damage for it. I am not pleased. So I fixed cleave instantly when I took it in my hands. Now we need the effect. So let's figure this out. Now when it comes to like damage, it's also fascinating. There's one problem, right, with this colossal thing. So what about buffs, right? How the fuck would it get buffed? Oh well, probably not at all, unless you actually buff it by 3. At least by 3. It's not gonna gain anything. It technically like has to be healed in a way. Like, it's kind of weird. I'm not sure how I'll make it work, but like, kind of fascinating. Very different thing from any other creature. Has to have certain amount of health to maintain its features. Well, since it's a Reaper, might as well gain mana, right? Like at the start of your turn, you can gain mana. Or you can gain mana by killing a bunch of creatures. How about that? That's way cooler. Because it can kill multiple creatures. And that's when things get really cool. Let's go. So yeah, these kind of creatures should be also immune to like flips and all that stuff. This is really weird. Good. I could make it so it's not immune. Ugh. And where buffs actually stack on top of the shield. So you have to like break like 4 damage or 5 damage. But not 6, because now I just gained 1. But it's so weird to give any effects to this thing. This is the weirdest thing, weirdest modifier I've ever had. Oh boy. This is also a really weird one that I discovered. Temporary cards, right? You accumulate that shit, potentially. And using Reaper as well. But Reaper can also turn temporary cards into mana. If you need it. You can choose. I want to craft one more Leviathan, and we're gonna get to the meat of the operation, is to copy and paste chess and play chess. This is just to show the new two little shits, you know, that unlock a whole potential. Well, technically, what happened? Wait. What the fuck? Did I just moved it? Just like that? Jesus Christ. I just took it and moved it. There's new ruins, basically. I'm pretty sure this is empty hands. You have to have an empty hands. Then you have to have an empty board to summon a creature. And then you have to sacrifice one card, but you gain a temporary card in exchange, which is still horrible exchange. Worth 2 mana even. Doing that to a card. But you can do it with something. This is so crazy, like, the most intricate thing, apparently, is the mana system itself, of how you use the most important resource of summoning creatures, and how you block those summons from happening. This is kind of cool as well. Something that Hearthstone haven't really experimented with. The only thing they did is, like, mana cheated some cards, and they're super playable when they're at 0 mana, of course. Who would have thought? This guy looks like a fucking Doctor of Botanic, bro. Like, exactly. I'm scared, man. This must be the longest one that I have right now. This is how bored I am. We have a really crazy one to fit in. Why is it so long? Like, actually, what is it trying to say? Well, it's not that bad, but it's pretty bad now. Now it's pretty bad. And why is this not separated? Normally, you would separate the trigger from the other effects. Well, they're kind of linked, just like a cascading effect. At the end of turn, if this has 2 whatever chunks of health, every enemy receives 1 damage. It's like a Borkler, and then if any get killed, you destroy a shield. Just like the effect suggests, right? It would deal a lot of damage. It would summon like creatures that would be ridiculously painful to deal with. So instead, I just break a shield. Now I want to pull out my compressing superpowers. And like the first thing I would do is put this horizontally. And now I can target all enemies more efficiently with less pixels in between, right? Right? Not by much. In fact, I probably haven't even moved this. Yep. Didn't fucking move it. That was pointless. You can see the struggle of like, how the fuck do I squeeze this effect? That is really cool stuff. One thing that I can squeeze is like these things. I can put it to inside. But that would be cringe, bro. I kind of can't. I'm like staring at it like we're stuck like this. Not so fast. Do you recognize something here? Yeah, I've used an aerial thing called Borkler. This is literally, Borkler was staring at me this whole time. This is just 2 icons. my friends. Just like that. This will disappear. And my problems will disappear as well. How would I fucking be so stupid to not know that a board clear is gonna be in my game? It took me long, very long, but like, we gotta do it now. These are not board clears, but close. Close. So this is a board clear, also known as Wi-Fi. You know, wind and fire combined, the most destructive force. Yeah, would you rather watch Andrew Tate talking about how cool he is and how fearless he is? Or would you rather fucking watch someone make a card game in front of your eyes? Cook a card game. Look at that shit. Don't you like Wi-Fi? I have a feeling we're gonna shrink these shits. They're kind of cool visually, but like in terms of length, they take up like ridiculous amount of space. Please, Jim, please. Just want to move this 2 pixels, bro. Now I can do this to the creeper. It's kind of close, but I mean, it says all in 1 damage. Everyone takes 1 damage. This is only for the enemies. Alright. We did it. Another colossal created. Alright, so there's one page. This one image shows all the pieces. Everything you need to know about chess, basically. And I definitely cannot just copy and paste this shit, because this is garbage. For my game, this... Come on, man. I can't fucking get an image without consenting my soul away. Alright. So, oh, need to get my soul back first. Yeah, like, you have pieces, boys, and they auto-attack. Most of them. Except for the knight. You get how it works, but it's kind of weird. It's more like the end of the turn effect. Deal 1 damage, like, that's it. End of turn. Instead it says auto attack. I mean, sure. So we have to construct something similar. Probably not gonna be Colossals, even though they have 6 health and 3 health. Like, it's literally that. We literally made it. Very suspiciously suspiciously close in being that. We also need to switch places. The rook has to be stronger than the knight. It has to cost more. We have to swap these places because this makes no sense to me. And the hero power, I mean, I could have one. It's definitely not going to be discover hero power. The only question is, should we have a king? Should there be like a alternate win condition with a king? Because that's what chess is all about. It's actually like finding a way to mate the king instead of like dealing damage to something, you know? So it's very interesting. I probably will have to make an alternative win condition or alternative rules entirely for the chess, because we're talking about Tavern Brawl here. We're copying a Tavern Brawl, so it has to have alternative rules. The reason why I need chess, and I've actually created chess when in the pandemic period, the chess with cards, right? I needed chess for a tutorial, just to teach people how certain mechanics work, like some really basic mechanics. So Tavern Brawl is probably one of the best ways to do it. Like, you hand a player a deck, and they have to be able to play with it. Except not only I will give the player the deck, but also the rules with a little bit of a video, a quick video of how to play the cards and see how it works out, you know. Another interesting factor is to try and have exact same amount of pieces of like 8 pawns, 2 bishops, 2 of everything else, and 1 queen, and 1 king. I had that too, and it seems to sort of work, but you still have to like sacrifice pawns for mana, right? There still has to be some kind of mana system. And that one is tough. So, it does seem like there has to be either a different mana system or like white pawn number should be way bigger. Already, like, I can't just have, what is it, like 16 cards in the deck and no mana. That's weird. I could double it easily. I could double 16. That would make a lot more sense, right? So let's say we're doubling this. And if we take out the king, it's literally 30 cards. But we're not going to do that. Now let me dig up my old concept of how I did chess. I'm not gonna lie, I looked at it and it's fucking embarrassing, bro. Holy shit. I don't even want to talk about it, to be honest. Because it has a lot of like old school stuff, like even like a swap. Swap means go from a mana crystal into like a card in your hand. But you have to sacrifice a card in your hand. It's so bizarre and stupid. I'm like, no. And I also invented a new card, apparently. A guard instead of a pawn. I mean, 4 guards and 4 pawns. And I kept it at 16 cards. So it's just a really quick game of chess. It's more like checkers, bro. I don't know. I'll definitely have to rethink the whole thing. And it's obvious it just can't look like Hearthstone at all. But that's the idea. To steal chess pieces, though. I probably don't even have to steal chess pieces. This is also kind of extreme. They look kind of cool sometimes. At least the horse does. I could probably find some way cooler chess pieces, though. Actually, I would allow just simple buffs on health, because it's still gonna sit on top, right? Like, you have chunks of health that can go down, which is why I use the health indicator and the dot, right? To symbolize like 3 chunks, the normal amount. Because why would you have 2? It's kind of boring, right? And we're talking about big minions, at least with 9 health. They're also very difficult to kill. But you can just sit the buffs on top. Buffing the first chunk, basically. That's it. Simple enough. And that thing is pretty powerful, too. Now, flipping stats, not allowed. Immune. Now I'm like, bro, these are just breaking points. So of course I can have like 8. I can have that. Because then it breaks at 6 and at 3. That is so fucking stupid. But it makes too much sense not to do that. Also, not only these are breaking points, these are 3 to indicate that it's always going to be 3. Pretty much. 2 times 3, 6. Has to have 6 health. Kind of interesting, right? That means this can sort of be flipped, but it's still immune to flipping, unfortunately. Just to mitigate confusion and math problems. Now, these minions don't actually show the power of colossal minions, because these things can take a lot of damage. Normally they will be with a lot of health. So, but yeah, I'll allow this to be like normal and stuff, because then I can actually pick any number anyways. The breaking points are in the same positions, but the numbers are flexible. And yeah, so like the effect is like an appendage that you can destroy by putting this below a certain amount of health. So interesting. So we need to invent 5 types of cards. A very weak one, a very strong one, 2 mediocre ones, and somewhat reasonable. And again, they have to be completely different from what we see here. I think pawns can work like a mana. Like these are technically like 1/1s, right? And this is where we're gonna start, right? We're gonna build the idea. This is probably not the best way to, well, fuck me. So 1/1 that has this, meaning that when it dies, it turns into mana. So you don't actually lose mana by having a bunch of pawns in your deck. I think what we have to like do is put down all the like little interactions that chess has and try to recreate those interactions if possible. So one of the biggest interactions with pawns is that pawns can become other pieces, most notably the queen. It can get promotion basically. Once it does some kind of action, right? Like a spectacular action, like goes across the entire battlefield, collects all the experience. Isn't that crazy, right? And the second thing that pawns can do is protect other pieces very well. Like they're used to like move the battlefields forward. Start with the pawns and then you put the important pieces next to them to protect. So that's an interesting aspect, right? The protection and promotion aspect. I'll put it like that. Now, I mean, this is just a set, but it's just an idea of how pawns should look like. Anything else pawns do? I mean, they cover the battlefields very well, but it's just kind of like, there's another aspect, right? Like they only see, or they only can fight like this and go forward and get stuck sometimes, but it's a weird one. It's just their like movement ability, right? I guess I should mention that. I guess like that. This is their movement pattern. Most important aspect about pawns is not only that they can protect, but they're just a very good sacrificial thing. So you can push them forward, you can sacrifice them, you can mess things around basically. Super cheap. I guess the cheapness of it will be pretty obvious. Now, horses have to be a really complicated piece. Because the bishops are kind of like super simple. You can sort of predict their movement, but like what a horse is gonna do is gonna mess up just the entire strategy of the game. Like you can't possibly see every single horse move They're just the weirdest piece, right? With bishop, not only you can, it's like overly predictable. You can only do like in one shade of the color, basically. Black or white, it's always going to stay in that one position. So you have the most predictable piece and the most unpredictable piece. That is so fascinating. I guess that's how we're gonna do it. It's a yin and yang of like predictable and random. What is a predictable? Because I do have random here, as you can see. What is the most predictable thing in this game ever? See, there's a one funny mechanic that I've made. It looks like this: sun and moon. The moon requires partnership, basically. Two friends surrounding like the monster. It's technically this, but this is for targeting, so it's more like cinematic idea of like sun and moon. You either have no friends on the battlefield or you're surrounded by them. And I'm still contemplating, I don't think I can allow shifting around cards too much. But it's not that bad, right? So if you want to squeeze a card in here, you can just do that, right? You can just shift by one position. And I guess that's all I can allow, right? Shift by one position. If it's like that, I'm not gonna allow like Reno to. It's still kind of weird, right? I would rather like allow collapsing of monsters. This dies, this thing collapses. You know. I can allow collapsing to simplify. But like squeezing cards inside, like that's messed up. Like that's too much work. No? It is a positioning type of a strategy. And it kind of matters. I probably should just allow it. The power of towers. Yeah, like like these are kind of like even simpler than pawns. There's so many pawns that they create a strategy. This one is like we simplified into just predictable, unpredictable. I mean, can bishops do anything else interesting? I mean, they can come back. Like pawns act like a wave. It's kind of funny, but it's like, I don't know. So rooks. We obviously need the ability to sacrifice the rook. And this is the sacrificial button that I don't actually use in the game. So this is literally the biggest meme, because I still don't have this being used. We need memes, though. Desperately. The power of rooks is that they can actually see each other really fast. They have to be in the corners of the board, like to make it a challenging to open up the board for the rooks to see each other. But they can like really protect each other, basically. Or kind of even like stack on each other. It's crazy. They can pretty much stack on like every single other thing. They can focus on things. Target things very aggressively. This is the stacking or graveyard icon. And I'm not sure about the seeing part. I guess it is the funny part about sacrificing the rook. Because most of the time, if you make a drastic move with a rook, usually you can just, like, run away. Rook has, like, the most squares to run away to. Has more squares than these guys. Horse will always have 8 or less. Bishop is gonna, like, sort of have the most squares in the middle of the board, which is kind of funny, right? Like, it's a sun. In the middle of the board is the most powerful piece or position for them. Rook doesn't give a fuck, to be honest. He can just run away from danger or jump into danger. And for that, I have to give stealth. Pretty much. Which is kind of weird. Like, Rook is more of an assassin than a fucking tower. Why is it a tower? I'm not exactly sure. It's like robot assassin that can explode itself on demand. That's what this reads. Even though horses are unpredictable, they're also more powerful than bishops and rooks in one category, defense category. They can also jump over pieces, so they can sort of maneuver even in the crowded positions. So that's also very relevant, I would say. While bishops have one I don't know if I want to do that, but like, again, they assigned a specific task, a specific color, either black or white squares, and they're stuck there, bro. Is that cool? Our bishop is like the butt of the joke on this one. All right, so let's see what we can. But yeah, they're like short-sighted though. Horses cannot move from one place of the board to the other fast enough to like protect things. So even though it's a good protective piece, you can't really move around very well. When two things are in danger all over the place. So I would even say like this also matters. It will buff the neighbors or something like that. One of the most powerful moves in chess is when the horse captures in their line of sight the queen and the king. It's kind of like a fucking divorce horse or something, or the apocalypse horse. That is the most fascinating thing. Divorce, bro. Fuck your marriage. You gotta choose which one survives and which one dies. That is the funniest thing, bro. Technically, this is like mana is represented by a ring, and this one fucking destroys it. I love that chess like has some fucking weird shit, even though it's like such a simple game. It kind of represents my game as well, right? I'm trying to piece things together by simple rules, and they have like very weird interactions together. But I try to, you know, gamify it. So I have a bunch of simple rules to choose from. And then finally, the queen. How do we deal with the queen? I can pretty much grant the queen immortality. Queen has to like really be captured, trapped, given like very specific, again, the divorce thing, but a specific like question, like there's no escape, you're being attacked, you have to trade queens or whatever, like you have a big ass question to unlock even the mortality of the queen, to be able to even threaten it when it comes down on the board and starts threatening things. Now, that's one way to do mortality. The other way to do mortality, like if you push out the queen too fast, it's not going to have mortality because it's the stupidest move. It's going to be tossed around. I guess I can say like piñata, bro. Like it's filled with candy, absolutely. And if it's out there alone in the battlefield, it will have nowhere to hide, basically. So it has the eternal tag where at some point, like it's probably gonna cost like 5, 6, 7 mana. At some point in the battle, Queen can just resurrect itself. So you have to be careful how you like how early you push out your Queen. Not to rush it out, because that's the eternal tag to slow this creature down. It's very cool, bro. Yeah, so while horse is defensive creature, I guess bishop has to be like the offensive one. I'm not sure. This is like the most offensive thing you can have, just a breakthrough. But then the question is like how the shields are supposed to work. And potentially pawns, if they break a shield, then they promote. That should probably be the common way of promotion. So only like 3 pawns can promote throughout the game, which is still fine. And promotion is probably not gonna turn your pawn into a queen. Or into other pieces. I'll just give it better stats, because like technically, I mean it could like resurrect something, but it's still weird, I would say. So the queen's supposed to be like the most annoying piece, but also the most protective piece of like buffing the entire board or debuffing your opponent's board, so it's like vulnerable to attacks. It could also be one of those colossal minions as well, funny enough. Also, the queen is usually the piece that gives the most checks in the game. It can just like hunt down the king somehow, force the king in the open. Yeah, I do feel like the queen has to like buff the board. Funny enough. That's gonna cover like the grounds of being defensive and offensive at the same time. The power of bishops kind of like comes from them able to quickly take over a piece of the battlefield and just like laser down that piece. Shoot a laser from one side of the board to the other. It's kind of the idea. Crisscross applesauce. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure if the king is necessary, unfortunately. But I would like there to be like pressure somehow to pull something out and to threaten something. I'm not sure. Basically, I'll be able to decide this after I put all these pieces into a card. So 5 cards. Alright. See, I keep thinking about like stealing other people's stuff, right? Like what the fuck does that mean? Yeah. And I'm like, well, a lot of people like want to get credit when their things are taken, but it's just like completely random. It's completely at random. And not only that, if they find themselves that I used their art, I mean, They gotta figure that shit out themselves. I've made my move. They have to make theirs. It just how it seems like for now. But at the same time, if you made art without purpose, what was the point? What is the point of protecting your shit if it never had purpose in the first place, right? That's the most weirdest thing. I do want every piece to have a different color. This seems like very generic, kind of what I'm looking for. I need like a really basic aesthetic, but something more artistic than the usual thing. Because Hearthstone has a very artistic thing going on. I'm not sure if I'll be able to escape this. The chessboards look. I'm literally like fucking 10 minutes in, just digging around for pictures. This is the most excruciating thing I've ever seen or experienced. In terms of like trying to find something like actually decent. Instead of like drawing myself or generating with AI. Oh my god, I fucking hate this. Haven't like someone found an alternative design to chess? Doesn't look like trash? You know, like please. Fucking the moment I open Bing, they're just like, here you go. Generate with AI, dude. Shut the fuck up now. I'm like, shit, bro. Yeah, you better fucking do a good job when I'm waiting. Though. Yeah, am I gonna get another reason to not fucking use Google anymore? Jesus Christ, bro. I already want to switch to Bing. I just want to, bro. In general. Okay, now I did wait it for 5 minutes already. Should be pretty fucking cooked already. I don't know what kind of car am I being sent, basically. What kind of piece of technology? The 3D printing right now. Like, I have boosts, right? Am I not using them? Can it take even longer than that? Can I not just, like, explore? Right? Explore. Chess pieces. This is some fucking bullshit, man. Wait, am I... What? I didn't ask for... What the fuck is this shit? I don't even know what the fuck... how to use it properly. It did have a health bar of, like, showing me... generating things. What the fuck, man? I wanted to search for ideas of how other people's shit looks like. Bro. So can't do that? Fucking hell, man. They gave me a bunch of horses, man. Of course, the most stylish fucking thing is the horse. I don't give a fuck, though. I don't want horses. It just keeps giving me horses. Now I have to tell it to stop giving me horses and unicorns, bro. The only, like, straightforward thing is to actually steal. Like, that's the most straightforward thing. We have solved the fucking problem. We just copied and pasted whatever Hearthstone has and moved on with our lives. I have no choice but to do that, guys. Also, an important factor, not only these things have to interact with each other, they kind of have to be like real cards. Yeah. This is so funny, because pawns turn into mana, all the things in the graveyard are gonna be pieces. So, this would, you know, kill itself. and turn into a piece from the graveyard. Summon something from the graveyard. That's so cool. It will be a random piece from the graveyard, but it's still really powerful stuff. I like that. I have to give it to Hearthstone and chess. This relationship status. And I'm watching Raren right now. Okay. Now the big question is, will we make dark versions of the cards? And will they be different? Because they have to be different. Funny enough. Can we find a flip version of the cards that have the same power level? I would love that. You get 4 mana to summon whatever. Now, the queen is probably going to be 7 mana. So this does not summon the queen. You have to have extra mana. Make sure. A little bit of a spicy thing here. This can happen like you spend all the mana, you attack with the pawns. It's barely just enough to promote the pawn, but not enough to promote into a queen. This is so fascinating to me. I think Bishop is notorious for being able to be hunted down by pawns, meaning that it has more offensive power than defensive power. That's very interesting. Like, the horse can, like, maneuver out of the pawn's way, out of the danger quite well. When it comes to pawns, the other pieces, not so much, because, like, horse can only move so much, right? But it can hide behind things and all that stuff. So pawns cannot get to horse. But bishop's pretty fucking vulnerable. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't, like, waste time. These things should be fairly simple to do. The pawn is not so simple because it has to actually promote and summon a thing that's already, like, tapped. So it can't attack when it gets summoned and promoted. It kind of does attack on the chessboard when it gets promoted, like it changes the attack pattern, but it can't move. Not sure if I can simplify by removing this. The problem with that is, like, if you're attacking shields, you already cleared your opponent's board. That's the problem. So I don't really want to mess around with that. This, on the other hand, seems overly simple, but, like, these are big pieces, not 1/1s. So they interact with numbers, I guess. And it starts with a 2. So 2 pawns can kick the bishop out. Yeah, horse is very good at, like, territorial thing. Horses are really cool. Knight. I mean, it is knight, bro. Isn't that crazy? I'm probably just gonna buff the attack. I'm not sure what to do. The way Hearthstone designed chess is about positioning, right? It's proper positioning, mana usage. It's a little bit different than... I just want to, like, make very interesting interactions between creatures. And horse is kind of like the positioning one, where the creatures next to the horse is going to be able to retaliate, which is like, how is that an advantage, right? How can you squeeze an advantage from that? That's what is going to make it unpredictable. Only when it's surrounded by 2 creatures, it will give off this... Well, actually, I don't even need... What? Which is... it's so annoying. That these kind of, like, mean the same thing. That is very annoying. Yet I use them as if they don't. Now, a horse is gonna be complicated by its mana. I guess I should just leave it like that. But I have to clean it every single time I use it. Okay. Fair enough. Alright. So, it's gonna have a very weird mana usage, right? The upkeep, and then 3 cards in your hand requirements. You can't have an empty hand with a horse. Nor an empty board. This makes the horse really fucking complicated. Alright. And despite that, I still gonna push it at 4 mana. Because you can easily push out a horse, but to actually use it properly, that's a whole nother level, bro. You can crush pawns with it if you want. But it might not be able to do much more than that. Oh, that's nice. Card 69 is the knight. I guess we're riding into a sunset for sure. The stats of the rook is gonna be not vulnerable to bishop, but it can't kill the horse either. It's kind of like weird stats, right? There's another thing about stealing, right? Midas can be stolen too. Counter stolen. I'm putting myself vulnerable too. Big fucking deal. Just like Sniper Wolf, bro. I keep relating to Sniper Wolf. What can be stolen from Sniper Wolf? Literally the entire channel idea. I want to teach people this effect. So Rook is gonna like deal 7 damage of that. It literally just obliterates all pawns and sometimes the bishop too. I don't see a relationship between the pieces necessarily. But bishop is gonna die, bro, from this. Now we established the relationship. Rook sacrifice kills all them bishops, bro. Fuck you, bitch. 7 might be an overkill. Because you can attack as well. Funny enough. How about we do this? Yeah, the actual relationship, if there's only one piece on the board versus the rook is gonna be fucking hunting that shit down and potentially, you know, just straight up killing it super easily. With a sacrifice, I mean, sure, but it can also finish the game with that sacrifice, bro. Rook sacrifice is gonna be a fucking thing. Absolutely, I love that. And literally the only thing. Because it has, like, good stats and has ability to, like, stealth itself. It's kind of like a fucking explosive. Well, there is a slight difference between these tokens, right? Because this one, you have to surround yourself. This one just kind of targets the neighbors. Yes, technically, if I put it here, it does the same thing. Very likely. But it could do different things. This, you have to have both neighbors. Here, you have to just have one of them. You know, that sort of stuff. So it's kind of different. Yep. Well, yeah, that's what the queen needs. Wait, fuck. The queen will need in order to exist. What? Oh my god, are you fucking kidding me? Okay. In order to exist, there has to be something on the board besides the queen. Something. Right? Is that the best one? Jesus Christ, my mouse is disgusting now. I have to run and fucking buy a new one. Yeah, basically the queen can get kicked out, even though it just costs 7 mana. You can get kicked out if you run out of other minions on the board. Because queen has to be defended, right? That's the whole point. Unless there's very little minions to go around. I'm not sure what then, to be honest. Maybe you get to choose? No. I haven't yet decided how the purple is gonna work. I know it's a requirement every single turn. And but maybe this could be just like a simple attack requirement. What do you need to do in order to be able to attack with a creature? Because you can only attack once. Or tap, or use a special ability. So you just need other creatures to be around. Otherwise, it just simply can't attack. Like, if it returned to hand, like, it's kind of disgusting, and it's different for different cost cards. So this kind of makes more sense. Okay. Not being able to attack without other minions on the board. Which still fucking seems pretty stupid. How about bloodshed, bro? How about we flip this upside down? We'll flip your frown upside down. The reason why blood sacrifice, but I should just call it bloodshed. Bloodshed, it does sound like bloodshed, though. It also sounds like bullshit, so I like that. Well, bloodshed kind of happens on the chessboard, and when the queen opens up, it's able to be more effective on the board. So every time there's bloodshed and the board moves around, the queen gets activated almost because it sees so many squares. It's always like the most active when bullshit happens, right? Where things move around. So like that's why there's such crazy ass cost here. You can get a discount if you don't have any shields. You can sacrifice your mana, which is very relevant because the queen can return as long as you pay enough mana for it. It's an eternal creature. My favorite. It will have like a devastating attack, but not the amount of attack. Now, the funny thing is, I can make an alternative win condition by making a king a hero power that gets depleted like alternative health points. Or the king just like checks if your opponent's board is full, you get checkmated. You know, if your opponent fills up its board, you can also get checkmated. I want to see if that works. That is so interesting. If there can be just a very simple alternate win condition. Technically, you're the king anyways. But you're not on the board anymore. Alright. Let the battles begin in the next episode. I'm done. Not sure if I need a break, though. Because I'm very excited to play this. Now, this one, like, the devastating attack that doubles the attack as it attacks, like, I don't know. I don't feel good about it because, like, there's no retaliation. So the attack doesn't matter. Anyways, it only matters when this attacks. I'm not sure if this keyword is well designed. Let's be honest. Maybe it contains retaliation at the same time. It's kind of interesting. I mean, it would make sense that this could be like a Wind Fury. But only target one creature. You can't attack two. But if you can kill it with the first attack, you can retaliate. Kind of makes sense, right? Just to make the card even more complicated. There's going to be a lingering effect. Shit. This is so awkward. Well, the same effects. But it's also going to linger. Alright guys, thanks for watching. We're gonna see how this plays out in the battlefield. And if I need to make the dark side very different from the light. I'm just saying, bro. I will twist some rules with the dark pieces. Anyways, bye.